Imperial Fists Supremacy Force. Supremacy Force of the Imperial Fists. In this video, let's talk about, in my opinion, an iconic box set from the late 90s. Oh, and I'll be showcasing the models I have painted as well. It was 1998. After an adolescent hiatus, I had returned to the hobby. There were a few months of 2nd edition left to play, and 3rd edition was on the horizon. On the top shelf of my local games workshop sat a box set I didn't have the funds to afford. A dream then, a fool's fantasy. But it was no big loss. Yellow was a hard colour to paint, and anyway, Blood Angels were my chapter at the time, but the longing for the Sons of Dawn did not abate, and indeed, I was only encouraged by the battle report in White Dwarf 236 between Imperial Fists, Legion of the Damned and Eldar. I devoured this issue from cover to cover during my school holidays that year. Fast forward to 2011. After another break, I decided to paint some Space Marines again. This time, I decided to paint them as Imperial Fists. To fill a hole in my heart maybe, a desire that had not grown cold. This is the only remaining photo of the collection I traded a few years afterwards. Except, fun fact, I found someone selling this dreadnought online. This dreadnought that used to be mine. I painted it, I sold it, I found it again, and I bought it back. I smell a repaint video in 2025. Anyway, earlier this year, I decided I had the resources to finally fulfill a hobby dream and add this lot to my collection. I didn't want to pay eye-watering eBay prices. You know me. I wanted to do a rescue from a load of battered parts. Over a period of a few months, I made it my goal to acquire enough components to make this set. However, I decided to leave out the rare metal components. The decals would suffice. Many eBay purchases and kind donations later, and I had the parts I needed, though I was able to get a few things from the depths of my bits box, which saved me some quids. Had you the funds to purchase this product in 1998, it would have set you back £65. The Supremacy Force box set came with 3 characters and 3 units. The characters were a captain, librarian, and chaplain. The units, a Terminator squad, a tactical squad, and a bike squad. All of these were, to differing extents, a mixture of metal and plastic parts. In the case of the characters, mostly metal with maybe a plastic arm, and definitely a plastic backpack. The tactical squad was basically the same case, with a bit more plastic on the cards. The Terminator squad was an all-plastic kit, though this box came with metal components for you to upgrade your models with. The bikes were in a similar place, mostly plastic, but they had the metal torsos for the Sergeant, Plasma Gun and Melter Gun, the same as the Trio box set from earlier in 2nd edition. Again, like all the units, they had metal components to upgrade them. Components which were also available from the Games Workshop mail order service at the time. These amazing stickers came with the set to decorate your models. Backpack banners and bike flags, a hallmark of 90s 40k. Now the set also came with this army list booklet. This specimen was kindly gifted to me by my Instagram buddy Space Crusader, along with the stickers and box sleeve. A Merry Christmas to me indeed this year. The sleeve had, on the back of it, all the suggested paints in order to achieve the paint scheme that was shown there, as well as examples of each of the models, and assembly instructions for the bikes. The booklet begins with a snippet of lore in the form of an Imperial communique. Orders from Holy Terror, apparently, to cleanse the world of Duras III from an orc infestation. The orcs, who had taken a hold of the Cathedral of the Emperor's Magnificence, and the Ecclesiarchy complex at least. Force Dire, the name of the Imperial Fist Supremacy Force, and Force Capaneus, another such detachment, were to combine and eradicate all units, once the objective had been secured. I wonder what was the composition of Force Capaneus. Perhaps this could be a lore gap I could fill in. The next section is called Choosing the Space Marine Army, where Gav Thorpe, mastermind of this literature, expounds the Force composition and its rationale, right down to the names of the characters and their war gear. Following this are ideas for battle tactics. The characters, Terminators, and a combat squad moving up the centre, thrusting into the heart of the enemy, while the other combat squad, with a missile launcher, gives long-range fire support. The bike squad is on call to deal with enemy counterattacks, capitalising on their fast movement. That's the theory anyway. The booklet rounds off with the army list, unit names, points values, and war gear, which comes in at 1,492 points. This is close to the 1,500 point sweet spot for 2nd edition, according to people I have spoken to anyway. The suggested army list reads as follows. Captain Dire is armed with a power fist, bolt gun, bolt pistol, frag grenades, plasma grenades, and melter bombs. He also has a conversion field, Aegis suit, and haywire grenades for his war gear card options. Chaplain Zealous has the stats of a mighty hero, and the standard war gear of a chaplain, along with plasma grenades, melter bombs, and a stasis grenade, which is his only war gear card. Epistolary Arcus, the librarian, has a psychic hood, refractor field, and force sword. The model of the box has a force rod. Whatever. Terminator Squad Lycus is a typical Terminator squad, the sergeant having a stormbolter and power sword, and one of the Terminators is armed with a heavy flamer. Tactical Squad's Toothless. This squad has 7 Marines with bolters, one with a flamer, one with a missile launcher, which comes with plasma missiles, and of course the sergeant has a power fist to tell those orcs to jolly well get off his lawn. Oh, and the squad also has frag and crack grenades. Finally, Bike Squadron Austrius consists of 5 bikes, including a sergeant with a power sword, a brother with a plasma gun, and another brother with a melter gun. And if you didn't like that force composition, then I'm sure you could run it slightly differently. I'm sure Gav Thorpe wouldn't mind too much. And anyway, his eyes can't be everywhere at once. Gav actually suggests some ways to expand your collection, citing Devastator squads, Land Speeders, and Assault squads as examples of sound additions to your force. He even gives the green light to mixing in Space Marines from other chapters, to make a Crusade force. Which is great for me, because I have a shed load of Ultramarines to back these bad boys up. And to whet your appetite for buying more miniatures, there's 3 catalogue pages at the back of the booklet with suitable suggestions. Now here's my collection, fully painted to boot. If you have watched the other videos in this series, you'll have seen these before, but allow me to show you them once again.
Oh, so you've made the box, like you've made that scene?
Yes!
Oh, that's good. You know what you need though? Finishing touches, like that there, that one.
What?
And that one.
No,
and
those. What they're meant to be?
Like those crater, like rock things.
Yeah, but they're not even. They're not even craters.
Yeah,
they're just like molds.
They'll do the job. That looks good enough, doesn't it?
No. This is the Captain miniature, kindly donated to me by my friend David. He's got a hand-painted back banner and Terminator honours, which is like a driving licence for Terminator armour. It doesn't have any effect on the rules in 2nd edition, but in the lore it means that he is trained in and has the licence to use Terminator armour in battle. He's like an older sculpt, except instead of a gem on his chest, he's got this fist icon. He's also got one on his knee and on his shoulder pad. A superb adaptation of a classic sculpt from 1991. There was a casting error, and you might not be able to see this on the chest here. It's more obvious on the official catalogue photo. The top part of the chest piece, where these feathers are actually smooth, and they don't have the usual ridges. I've just painted it in such a way that it looks a bit like the others. You can probably see that there's not as much shading though. Then we've got the Librarian. This is the Epistolary 1 model. Unlike the model on the box, I've given mine a bolt gun, and that's because he'll have a bolt pistol in his holster anyway, so I didn't see the need to model that on the miniature in his hand. I also haven't painted on this model a little symbol at the bottom here to show his epistolary badge of office, and that's because I felt it a bit too fiddly. The banner again is hand painted. And then we have the Chaplain. This is Chaplain number 3, this model here. And I've just given him a bolt pistol. It's actually a Chaos bolt pistol, with the arrows and whatnot scraped off. I did this because it makes it look a bit more individual compared with the other bolt pistols that the other Space Marines have. And he's got a glowing cybernetic eye. He's got a Rosarius and Crozius Arcanum. I was particularly pleased with the back banner for this one. I've tried drawing skulls before. I think they're quite hard, but this one's probably the closest to looking decent that I've had before. I know some of you are wondering why I didn't use the stickers which I was gifted by my friend, but actually I got these after I finished the project, and I didn't feel like going back and ripping off the banners I'd lovingly painted. So that's the Chaplain. And here's the Terminator Squad. This banner I designed and painted myself. It's a bit like the one in the box. Not quite as fancy though. This is the plastic Terminator Sergeant with Power Sword, Stormbolter, and Bionic Eye. This model and the others like him were originally released with the second edition of Space Hulk, and were later available as a separate box of 5 models, replacing the Metal Terminator Squad. I think this was a step down in quality, but I wanted to use the ones that were here with this set. So there we go. These were an absolute state when I bought them off eBay as part of a job lot. The bikes came in this lot too, and the Predator I saved last year. The videos of these were very popular, so that lot definitely paid dividends. Here's one of the guys with the Stormbolter. I have not painted the power fists like they are on the box art, and referring to this, you'll see the Sergeant has this shield which I didn't include. The Terminators with power fists have this red-black hazard stripe thing going on, while mine are just plain old yellow. What can I say? I wasn't feeling that section of the colour scheme. And here's the other 2 guys, with Stormbolter and Power Fist. And finally, the Terminator with the Heavy Flamer. Now for the Tactical Squad, beginning with the Sergeant. I did some significant reposing of the arm to make it look like he was stretching it out, and also so I could get the stock going all the way up the arm. Otherwise, I'd have to cut that off, and I wanted it to be present in this instance. Most of these arrows on the shoulder pads were hand-painted. It was just quicker in the end than putting on a load of transfers, which are white as standard on the sheets I have. So I'd have to paint over them in black. And of course, this is the infamous Power Fist sculpt, where he is shouting "Get off my lawn." And he's also got a pocket calculator, probably for calculating how many young'uns have trespassed on his property. The rest of these are quite similar to this box set that was released in the early 90s. Here's the Space Marine with Flamer, firing from the hip, which I always think looks awesome. All the special weapon sculpts are kind of based around the same frame, but they've got a different weapon. And then we've got the missile launcher, which I painted some flames on. This uses one of the Devastator body sculpts, because it's got these distinctive feet and shins on the power armour. And then we've got a range of Mark 7 armour poses. These 2 are based on the same body sculpt, but I've got one holding the bolter in both hands, and one holding it one-handed, since he never misses arm day at the gym. The only reason for this modelling choice is that these hands that are supporting the bottom of the bolter were in short supply in my collection. Owning only a handful, forgive the pun, at the time of building, so I needed to build the others with fists clenched, which seemed appropriate given the chapter. And then we've got this sculpt stepping forward, casually firing his bolter because he is as cool as a chest freezer. And then finally, we have these 2. Again, the reason why it's posed like that is mainly because I ran out of the aforementioned left arms that I was telling you about. This squad wasn't purchased as one, but made of parts that I just had lying around, so I didn't have to go and do much extra buying on eBay for them. I just had them from other job lot purchases. And finally the bikes. Here's the Sergeant. I had to make this flagpole myself, which is made of wire and some milliput in a trapezium shape, and a blob more at the top. And we've got this flag, which probably needs gluing on a bit better. I just made them on my computer, printed them off, and coloured them in. As for the decals on these bikes, obviously I've gone for the Imperial Fist logo. And then we've got the squad number, and for the life of me, I can't think of why I put this extra badge on. I think I saw something similar like this on an Ultramarine bike, and I just copied it. and each bike is mounted on one of the rectangular cavalry bases, since the bikes have them on the Supremacy Force box. The first special weapon is this plasma gun. On each of the bikes, I tried to paint this muzzle flash effect, a carbonizing of the exhaust at the back, I suppose. Here's the melter gun, again with a little carbonizing at the very end. The bikers have the assault symbol on the right pauldron. I used the red Dark Angel decals since I have tons of them, and they're pretty disposable. Then I just painted over them with black. These 3 bikes got their own video, but the other 2 standard bikes didn't. I just painted these later. If they look a bit messier, that's because I didn't take as much time on them because they weren't part of the video. But you know, 3 feet rule. They still look okay. And that, faithful viewers, is my Imperial Fist Supremacy Force. An absolute labour of love, and a hole in my hobby heart filled. 26 years of waiting. I should be waiting no more. Sometimes I just sit there and look at my models, content with the satisfaction of a box set fully painted. There's just something about the whole lot being done. Seeing them together just warms my heart. I don't have any plans to paint any more fists though. This box is done, and that was always the goal. Now maybe you've been sitting on a project for a while, despairing over them being unbuilt and or unpainted. It doesn't have to be a old Warhammer project. It could be a combat patrol from 10th edition or something. Why not set yourself a realistic and achievable goal to get them done in 2025? You won't half feel the benefit, because painting is calming and good for the soul, in my humble opinion anyway, if that's worth anything. Do let me know in the comments what you have planned. If you have reached this far in the video, you're probably one of the elite few who watches my videos to the end. It's lovely folks like you I want to thank especially. Let me take this opportunity to thank you for sticking with Miniscape, even if you're a recent subscriber. This channel is a niche of a niche, an echo of the hobby few people are involved with, but I feel it is a valuable one. This time last year, I had about 6,000 subscribers, and now I'm approaching 19,000. So big thanks for helping the channel grow. It's encouraging me to continue producing content, painting minis, and singing stupid songs. And who knows what big projects I will set my sights on in 2025. And so with that, I'll send you my best hobby wishes, and go and paint some more minis. Take care, and thanks for watching. This year I painted an army. It was a small Imperial Fists army, and I painted all of them yellow. That's because I'm a predictable fellow, 'cause I'm no stranger to the brush. Tell me no and I'll tell you hush. I paint some minis and I sing some songs. It works for me, but you might think it's wrong. This year I painted some Space Marines, Terminators, bikes and tactical Space Marines, a captain, librarian and chaplain too, to make my childhood dream come true. 'Cause I'm no stranger to the brush. Tell me no and I'll tell you hush. I paint some minis and I sing some songs. It works for me, but you might think it's wrong. Ho! No stranger to the brush. Tell me no and I'll tell you hush. What does that even mean? Oh, never mind.